Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. It's going to be co-hosted by me, Nael. I'm a content marketing manager at GetResponse. I've also had like years of experience working for agencies and helping e-commerce businesses build their sites, boost their sales. So I've got a quite a good experience there. And with us, the main host of this webinar is going to be my colleague Mariana. I'll let her introduce herself. Mariana?
Hey guys, I've been in GetResponse for a couple years now. You probably see me in the emails and the in-app communications and all of that. I've been a lot involved in the development and talking with you guys, interviewing you. So I'm really happy I get to be with you today here. And yeah, thanks for being here with us today. Really, I appreciate it. Go ahead, Niall.
Yeah, right before we kick things off, I would like to point out that this webinar is recorded. We're gonna share the recording with you in a week or so after we're done with editing it, of course, and later on it's gonna be available on our website. And of course, since you've subscribed to registered for this webinar, we'll send it to you via email. Now, in regards to the agenda, so I'll just go over why you should use web automation as business owners. Then I'll cover what it is, of course, after having a small survey with you guys to understand your level of understanding of web automation and automation in general. Then I'm gonna move and talk about how exactly does it work, and then my colleague Mariana is gonna go over some very interesting use cases. So make sure to stick around because the third one is pretty interesting actually. And knowing that I have some good experience with e-commerce, I can tell you that the third one is gonna get you some good results when it comes to conversions and like lowering those low abandoned cart rate and boosting the conversion rates. Then we're gonna get a sneak peek at what's next for web automations in terms of features, because it's a kind of a new feature within the GetResponse app. And finally, we'll have some room for answering your questions. Let's get to it. Why use web automation? Why is it important? Well, if you're in marketing or you're a business owner, you already know that acquiring users or acquiring traffic is already hard. SEO is pretty expensive nowadays. Building links is expensive. Even if we want to talk about social media, paying influencers or, running paid ads across Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name it, even LinkedIn, if you're running ads on LinkedIn, is also getting more and more expensive. The market is oversaturated and it's competitive. And then after you gain all that traffic, you have to figure out how to optimize conversion, how to lower the abandoned cart rate. And it's a challenge, really. Um, and to back this up, I've like pasted some of this data from a study done by Shopify on the customer acquisition cost by industry. You see, for example, in the electronics industry, the average customer acquisition cost is $377. So if you're selling a phone for $200, you're not making much ROI or profit, or it's hard to do that. Um, so web automation is one way to combat this. It's one way to be proactive and counter react in a way. um, so how, before proceeding to talk about how and what is web automation, we're gonna have a small survey asking you guys about how familiar you are with web automation and automation in general. So please make sure to answer, just so I can adapt my upcoming talk, let's say.
So you guys should be able to see it on the screen. Feel free to answer as honestly as you want. It's anonymous, by the way, so we really want to see where we stand here. Okay, I feel like we're almost at 50% of the people that answered. Maybe it's a good time, Niall, to...
Yes. So I see most of them never tried GetResponse's automation feature. Okay, automation sounds powerful but overwhelming. They don't know where to start. Yeah, good then. So let's move on to the next slide on what is web automation.
Okay, let me go back to the screen. There we go. You should be able to see it now again.
Yeah, can we go to the the next slide, please? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I've already covered the issues that most businesses suffer from. Now, how does automation really help? It is actually like autopilot for your business. It is steady, reliable, and always bringing your visitors in for a safe landing right at the checkout, meaning that you will get that conversion. How? It's through a series of triggers and actions. So let's say a user takes a specific action on your website. They visit a specific link, they like a specific product, they view a specific product, and then that triggers a series of events with ifs and ors in between them based on specific filters based on country, device type, whether they've subscribed to your email list or not, whether they're a recurring visitor or not. And then based on that, uh, there's an action that happens. They get shown a pop-up. Maybe they receive a push notification. No, I'm not gonna spoil it. My colleague Mariana is gonna take over and take you over all of these use cases and how to create them within the GetResponse web automation feature. So it's going to be a mix of use cases and a live demo. So please bear with us. Some of this might be hard to stomach, I know, but Mariana will do her best to guide you through it. So yeah, please go ahead, Mariana.
Thank you so much, Niall. It was a great overview. And yeah, I hope by now everyone at least has a clearer picture of what web automation is as a concept and a bit of the logic behind it, why it's such an important part of this omni-channel reality we're all living in and working in. And before we dive into some more concrete use cases, let me just quickly remind you that you are free to drop your questions in the chat at any time, and we will address them at the end of the session. If we don't get to your slide, we'll follow up afterwards by email, so don't hold back. I just really wanted to remind you of that. And yeah, now let's start with the simple and practical example, which is sending a welcome push notification as soon as someone consents to receive them on your website. Remember that you can't send push notifications without that consent, the same way you cannot send marketing emails without the consent. So yes, here's what that might look like. Imagine that a visitor lands on your site and you show them a prompt that says, get 10% off when you subscribe to our push notifications. Like you see these examples on the left of the screen. As soon as the visitor clicks allow or I accept, wherever it is in the case, web automation lets you immediately send that welcome message with the discount code. And here on the screen, you can see how that flow plays out, let's say visually. But let's take one step back here for clarity. How do you actually ask for this consent? You've probably seen this before, maybe while you're browsing other websites. Maybe you've seen a small box pops up asking if that site can show you the notifications. And on the left side of your screen, you can see these two common examples. On the top part, you see that more of a black prompt. This is the native browser prompt. This is the standard one. You really can't do much about it. You can customize it. But below, you have the custom branded prompt, which you can fully edit. You can control the text, the colors, the image, whatever it is. And here is where you can align it with your brand and even add an incentive like a discount to, let's say, encourage the signups. And the good news is, and this is where I wanted to get with all this intro for this use case, is that you can set both of these in GetResponse, okay? You can manage this prompt so everything stays in one place, in this case in GetResponse. I won't go too deep into this setup today because that's outside of the scope of this session, okay? But it's important to know that the option is there if you really want to if you're ready to make use of it. So with this being said, let's say we move to the next slide. I walked you through what this looks in practice just now, and you've seen an example of how it plays out for the visitor, again, visually. But now you may be wondering, okay, this is very pretty, but how does this actually work inside GetResponse's automation editor? And the good news here is that it's as simple as it gets. It's literally a 2-element workflow, as you can see here on the screen. And now let me switch over so you can see exactly how this looks inside of GetResponse. Give me a moment here, please. Okay, you should be seeing my screen now. You are inside GetResponse, okay, in the dashboard. And you want to head, first of all, to the navigation bar, okay? And you want to go here inside of Automate to this automation section. So you click. In this case, I have a workflow created. I'll go here, simply click Create Workflow. You can always build from scratch, okay? There's a lot of flexibility there, but if you prefer, we do have a good collection of pre-made automation templates that are already built for you. In this case, the template we want is already here. It's this one exactly, the welcome push message template. But because I want you just to get a quick grasp of how the building process works, I'll build this one specifically from scratch so you can follow along with me. So you want to click here. Once you click, you see some explanations here and just links to very comprehensive tutorials, FAQs, explanations. So if you're not comfortable with automation, and I saw before from the survey that many of you aren't so familiar with it yet, I want you to learn as much as you can, and I strongly advise you to go over these resources. They can be quite helpful. So you have here and here. And then you see, and here is what's new, because you didn't see this before. You can choose either the email channel for your automation or the web channel, okay? Before you just had the email channel available. And in this case, of course, we want to choose the web channel. So you simply go ahead and click the web channel and you click next. You want to choose a start element. This is, let's say, the trigger that will cause the rest of the workflow to actually start happening. And so let's say in this case, we knew that it was agrees to receive web push notifications because it's the use case that we are covering now. So just go ahead and click confirm. Okay, so you are now inside the GetResponse automation workflow builder. And you can see the ways that this workspace is arranged, okay? Here in this part is where you build the workflow, okay? This part right here, gray one. And here on the right is where you find all the elements that will, let's say, feed the workflow. So you have here the conditions, you have the actions, and you have the filters. Before, we only had this email section, as I just mentioned, but now you additionally have this web part, okay, which includes all these elements that me and Niall talked about. So what I'm about to tell you now is very important, so please pay attention. Please know that subscribed visitors can be moved from the web, okay, to the email channel to continue their journey, but not the other way around. This means that you can start your automation workflow in the web channel and then move to the email channel, easy, but you cannot start an automation in the email channel and then move to web. That is not possible, so please keep that in mind as it's important. So now let's finally build a flow, and meaning in this case, let's send a push message to someone who consented to receive it. And how? We are just going to drag and drop the right elements. In this case, we already chose a trigger. So in this case, it was here, this one, the push permission given, okay? And now we want to drag and drop the actual action, which is the send push notification. You see here, there was the trigger, and now we want to put the action like this, simply drag and drop, okay? Again, the logic is if there's a trigger, which is that in this case, someone gave the push permission consent, then there's the action, which is in this case, sending the push message. Make sure you connect these two elements, okay? Because otherwise your workflow simply won't work, okay? And now let's make sure each element is correctly set up. So you simply click on the element. From the drop-down menu, you select your website domain, so your store. If you don't see it there, make sure you connected your store to GetResponse already, and make sure that the Web Connect is properly installed. We have many resources and it's very well documented on how to do this. And we have one-click integrations with Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento, PrestaShop. So yeah, you go here, and now you can select the site. Here, in this case, let's just select so I can show you. And then you have the prompt that you want to choose, okay? You can choose either any prompt, or if you just want to show a specific one that you just built for a specific reason, you would go here. And then you can enable run multiple times for this condition, so it will trigger every time that this criteria that you just defined that is met. If you are a bit more familiar with GetResponse automation, you may be wondering right now, what is the difference between the send push notification in the web channel? So let me show you. Send push notification here, exactly. And the send push notification that we just saw on the web channel. Well, this new one, it can be shown to both email subscribers and non-subscribed visitors as long as you have a tracking cookie on your website. But in contrast, the other one, so this one here, the send push notification in the email channel sends an actual message only to users who are already subscribed to web push notifications, and at the same time are your email subscribers as well. So what this does, this new element, this new feature, is that it really opens up a new audience and new possibilities for you. For time's sake, I will move to the second out of 3 practical use cases right now. So give me just a quick moment to change my screen here, please. One moment. And there we go. Okay. So this is the second use case. This one is also simple, and I'm glad I chose these first two ones to be simple, as many of you guys mentioned you were not so comfortable with the automation. And yeah, it's still focused just on the web channel, okay? We're not messing up with the email here yet. So, okay, think about when someone visits key pages on your website. That is a perfect moment to show them a pop-up. If you want to collect their email, you can share a promo code, you can highlight something that is timely, like imagine a promo. For example, for this very webinar that you're watching right now, we actually promoted it through the pop-ups on some of our blog articles in GetResponse, and specifically on posts about automation. So we knew that anyone that was reading those articles was already interested in automation. So it made perfect sense to invite them to a webinar that is purely dedicated to that topic. And this is important because we aren't just relying on email invitations, which we did send the emails with the invitations to multiple audience, but it's not just the only thing we did. It's not just social media posts. It's not just paid ads. We are capturing a highly relevant audience that is directly on our site and at no extra cost. So people who had already shown intent and interest right there in the moment. So of course, that's just one way to use pop-ups. This is a very specific example, and I'm aware of that. But you can just as easily share discounts. You can collect signups. Imagine if you have a newsletter, you can collect the signups this way. Again, show a limited time sale. You can invite people to follow on your social media channels. And the list goes on. It's quite endless. And now, again, very similar to the web push notifications question I mentioned before, which is, if you're already a GetResponse customer, you might be thinking, wait, you've had pop-ups for a while, so what's new here? And that's an important question for sure, and a very smart question. But before, you didn't have them as elements in a marketing automation builder, and most of all, they worked in silos. Pop-ups before worked in isolation. You could display them on a specific page. Yes, you could, and you still can. But that was the end of the story. You had no clear way to track what happened next, or to connect directly, easily those visitors into a bigger marketing strategy that would move them through your marketing funnel in a more unified, measurable, trackable way. And that's exactly what's different now. Okay, so we've just looked at how this pop-up automation works visually in action, so what it looks for the visitor. But now let's switch gears a bit again and head back into the automation workflow builder so you can see step by step how to set it up inside GetResponse. So I will ask for your kind patience again as I change the screen. So please give me a moment here. Okay. Perfect. And here we go. This time we are going to use a pre-made template, so I'm not going to go through with you following like the step-by-step tutorial on how to do it. We're going to choose one that is already made for time's sake, and it's this one, interest-based pop-up, okay? I'm going to simply select use template. Okay, perfect. And as you can see, this workflow is already built out, okay? It has two elements, 1, 2, they are connected already. The first one is the visit URL condition, okay? And this and it's directly connected, I'm sorry, to this second one, which is the show pop-up action. So again, let's go through how to set this up properly. So in this case, you want to click on the first element, which is the visit URL condition. And from the drop down, you want to select again your domain, in this case, probably your shop. Okay, again, if it isn't connected, make sure that your shop is already connected with GetResponse and that Web Connect is installed. And next, you can choose to narrow down things by specifying here a site path. Okay, so this is very useful if you want the pop-up to appear only on a certain section of your site. For example, you may remember earlier that I mentioned that we showed the pop-up in the blog parts that mentioned automation, in the blog posts about automation. Well, for example, this would look something like, let's say, like this, you know? So if you prefer, if you think, okay, I just want to show this everywhere, you can absolutely leave this field blank, okay? And the condition will apply to your entire website domain, which means in simple terms that the pop-up will show across all pages of your website. But if on the other hand, you want to get even more precise, you absolutely can as well. So let's say we have like this, okay? You would go here, okay? You could get more precise by defining a parameter value. So for example, what does this mean? If you want to target only visits that come from a specific campaign with a UTM tag, you can do that here, okay? So you'd set the parent name to, for example, let's say UTM source, and then, excuse me here, okay? And then the expected value would be whatever you named the source. Let's say it's an ad, okay? You would write the name you chose before ad. And that way you could show, for example, a special discount pop-up only to people who clicked through from a social media ad, let's say. So you can get very precise in the way that you do this targeting. And finally, once again, there is the run multiple times option. And if you enable this, the pop-up will display every time the condition is met. So for example, whenever a visitor from that campaign lands on the page you chose, okay? So there is that. Now let's move to the second element here, which is the show pop-up action. Here, you'll also want to adjust the properties, which are here, okay, to make sure that everything works exactly as you want. And the first step is, of course, to choose which pop-up you want your visitors to see, okay? So you can choose one that is already made in your account. Maybe you've done it before, and you simply would select it here from the drop-down menu. Or you can create a new one. You would just click here, create new pop-up, which would open the GetResponse pop-up creator. And like the rest of our tools, don't worry, it's drag and drop, and it's no code at all. So, you know, you can either do whatever makes sense for you here. There's no need for tech skills. And then you could actually preview here in this part how it looks again, just to make sure everything is aligned with your branding and that you chose the right pop-up that you meant to choose. Yeah, and finally, you can once more decide whether you want this pop-up to show just once per unique visitor, if you want it to run many times whenever the conditions are met. That's it. So with that set up, let's jump back to our main presentation. Again, just bear with me while I change here the screens. One moment, please. And there we go. Okay, let's move into our final use case. At a first glance, this one might feel a little more complex, especially if you are newer to automation, which I understand many of you are. But once we break it down, you'll see it's actually more straightforward than it looks. So I will break it down for you, don't worry. So here's the scenario. We want to target repeating visitors, so people who've already been to your website before. They're coming back, which means they're probably interested in what you have to offer. And you can see that written here on the left side of the screen. And now I'll start moving towards the right side. Now, here is where we add this layer, this extra layer of intelligence. So among these repeat visitors, we want to split them into two groups. The first group is those who are already subscribed to your email list. So returning visitors who are subscribed to your email list. And the second group is returning visitors to your website, but who aren't subscribed to your email list. Let's walk through both paths. So look at the one above. So the one if there's a repeat visitor that is subscribed to your mailing list. Great, you already have a direct way to reach them. So in this case, many things can make sense. For example, you might send a re-engagement email, something along the lines of, we miss you, here is a little update, or maybe even a promo code to bring them back into action. Whatever makes sense for your strategy, you can do it like this. Now, if you look to the second on the bottom case, so if the repeat visitor is not a subscriber on your email list, that's where things can get a bit interesting. So you recognize them through a cookie. You know they've been in your website before, but you still don't have any way to contact them directly. And that's a gap that we want to close. So here's the plan. We'll show them a concept prompt asking if they'd like to receive web push notifications. Like the first use case that I mentioned, you might remember. You could sweeten the deal a bit. You could have a welcome discount code, for example. And once you show this prompt, two outcomes are possible, okay? If the visitor accepts to receive web push notifications, you instantly send them that push message, maybe with a discount like I mentioned, just like in the very first use case that I showed you earlier. And you see the example here, it's the black box on the bottom. But if they don't accept, what happens is the dark blue box underneath the black one is that, well, there's no problem because you can fall back to showing them a pop-up instead, again, with an offer, maybe a simple sign-up form, so you still have a chance to capture their email and just to start building that direct line of communication. So in short, this workflow makes sure that you don't lose that really valuable repeated traffic, because if they're a subscriber or not, you always have a strategy to keep them engaged and to bring them closer to your brand. And that's very, very important in the current days. And the good news is you don't need to build this workflow from scratch. It's already available for you, okay? In the template library, it's ready to use. So let me quickly show you how to access it. And right after that, we'll be almost finished. So bear with me just for a little while longer. So let me here change the screen. And here we are. Okay. Here we are. Perfect. You should be seeing it. We are in the template library. So let's select the one I just mentioned, which is the repeat visitor follow-up. Okay. The beauty of using a template is that, again, the workflow is already built for you. So all you need to do is just review it and adjust the properties, obviously, so it fits your goals and everything is set up correctly. So let's start with the first element, which is the visit URL condition. We've seen this before. You select the domain you want to track. Usually it's your store, okay? You select it. If you'd like this workflow to trigger only on a specific page, you can enter the site path here, as I went over it before, like, I don't know, for example, this. Okay. And if you leave it blank, the condition will apply to your entire website domain across all pages. And you can also filter visits by a campaign or a UTM source if you want to target very specific traffic. Okay. Now here's something new, which are filters. Filters allow you to segment, okay, and to refine which contacts actually move through your workflow. And in this case, as we talked, we want to focus on returning visitors, so people that aren't in your website for the first time. So we add the returning visitor filter, okay, from the web section. And let me just show you so you could get there yourself. Here it is. You would just drag and drop, okay? Here it is. The nice thing is that this element doesn't require any setup. Just drop it in and it's working for you. It does the work for you. And next, we are already splitting, so we only want people here that are returning visitors. If we wanted first-time visitors, we would follow along the workflow here. We would connect the next element here. But in this case, we want returning visitors, right? So we connect it to the next element, which is another filter, okay? Because we want to separate these returning visitors, as I mentioned, into email subscribers and non-subscribed visitors. And this right here, this element right here that you can find, by the way, here, exactly. This is the key to move from the web channel to the email channel in the workflow editor. So this is very, very important. If the visitor goes down the green path, meaning that they are already on your email list, we can send them an email, okay? And here you would just select the specific email that you would like to send them. Let's, I don't know, choose an example. Don't forget to turn on the toggle for send only to unique recipients. It's on by default, but always double check it because it's safer. So this way you'll make sure that people don't get the same email twice, okay? So if they are returning visitors and they are subscribed to your email list, then they will receive a message, okay? An email. If, on the other hand, they are returning visitors, but they are not subscribed to your email list, then they go down this red path, okay? And this is your chance to connect in some other way. You can show them a prompt, okay, asking for permission to send push notifications, okay? You can even control, let's say, you can even control here how many days, how many hours, minutes this prompt should reappear if the visitor rejects it. And by the way, if they didn't interact at all, this prompt will automatically show up again during their next visit. So if the user, the visitor, consents to receive web push notifications, this workflow will send them a push notification instantly on that moment. For example, with a discount code. You can leave this and run multiple times option. If you orange check it, it depends really on your strategy, what you're trying to achieve. But if the repeating visitor who is not subscribed to your email list doesn't consent as well to receive web push notifications, that is fine too. As I mentioned before, you can fall back to showing them a pop-up, maybe a discount, maybe an email sign-up form so you get their emails. And in this case, it's usually better to keep the run multiple times option off. So just that you're not showing the same pop-up over and over to people who have declined or, ignored your prompt for web push. So we do recommend keeping this one off, but it's totally up to you. And that is the core of this template in a nutshell. It might feel a little complex at first, trust me, I know, especially if you're new to automation, but once you start using it and you're more hands-on, it becomes intuitive quite quickly, I promise you that. And of course, there's even more I could cover today, really. There's like the country filter that you can segment by location, for example. There's also this device filter that adapts your follow-up based on whether someone is in your website browsing in a phone, in a tablet, in the desktop. But we're short on time today, and I just want to make sure we have a bit of space for your questions. So with that, let me switch back to the presentation. So one moment here, please. Just one moment. Okay, we are back. And now, last slide, I promise before the Q&A, let me give you just a quick sneak peek into what's coming very soon. You definitely deserve to know if you managed to bear with me until now. So imagine this. A customer lands on your product page. Maybe they even like the product. They spend a little extra time just looking into your bestseller. With what's coming next, you are going to be able to automatically follow up with them, say with a message like, "We noticed you are eyeing the product X. Here's a special promo code just for you." Or something like, "You've been browsing through this product. We think you'd like this one too." So that is personalization at the moment of intent, and it's real-time reactions to real visitor behavior on your website. And again, the goal here, this is all designed to help you turn that traffic and that curiosity into actual conversions, So yeah, that was a little peek into the future of automation in GetResponse, what's coming relatively soon. And with that, I'm going to shut up for a minute now, and we are good to move to the Q&A.
Okay, so we've got a bunch of questions. I'll start with the most frequently asked one. How do I set up Web Connect? There's no straight way to answer this because it's a bit different depending on the CMS or the platform you're using alongside GetResponse. So I personally, I'm using WordPress. All I had to do was copy a code snippet from GetResponse from the Web Connect into the header section in my theme file editor. Now, I like coding myself, but you don't have to be, advanced that much. Like with specific platforms like Magento, WordPress, PrestaShop, and Shopify, once you install the app or the plugin, it's as simple as toggling a switch on and off. And just to make this a bit clearer, I found a good resource for you guys that you can check. It's created by our colleagues, and one of the videos was created by our colleague Pedro, and just guides you throughout the whole process. Please make sure to read through it. If this is way too complicated for you, I would suggest asking a web developer for help. It would literally take them a minute to set it up. It's very simple, but I totally understand that for some people it might sound complicated, especially if you're not very comfortable or you don't feel safe, playing around with a website settings. I'm gonna choose another question now, and just give me a second. There's a lot. There are many. So
I can quickly jump in while you choose your next one if you'd like, or...
Oh, I guess this is the same question. It also had way too many likes, but yeah, it's through Web Connect technically. If you follow the link that I just shared, you will find this. There's someone asking, do these automations work with a WooCommerce store? Yes, of course. Again, you need Web Connect for that. If it works with WordPress, it does work with WooCommerce. Does this work with landing pages or only e-commerce stores? Technically, yes. It's called web automation, not e-commerce automation. So as long as you have a website or a landing page, it works, right? Am I correct, Mariana, to say that?
Yes, you are correct. And by the way, a bit related is this question that I'm going to now show, which is like, where is this available? Because we did get lots of people asking that, and it's basically on the marketer plan, on the creator, on the max, and also on free trial. So this means you can try the feature for free. If you don't have an account yet, you absolutely can. So I think this is also important. If you're not sure, if you just like to test it out, you absolutely can do so for free as well. And just let me tackle one more, Niall. I know we're already a bit short on time, but this one, if it's possible to set a filter so that a specific pop-up is displayed only to users who are not already subscribed. Yes, you can. There is a filter for that, which is the email subscriber filter. You can show something, specific things if people are subscribed to your email list, and you can show completely different things if the people aren't subscribed to your email list. So there is a filter that is specifically meant for that, to split subscribers and non-subscribers. Okay.
May I display one more?
Yes, go ahead.
These websites spoken of only created on your platform? Actually, no. Again, through Web Connect, you can connect it to any website that you already own. I mean, there's a lot of questions around Web Connect. We should have tackled this maybe in the next webinar. Thank you guys for pointing this out. But again, the process is very simple. If you go through the documentation or ask a web developer for help.
Yes. Okay. Let me just also, because this one always shows up, and yes, guys, we will send you in a week time, tops, the recording. And I see there's a lot of questions, and I don't think we will be able to go through all of them. So we will send as well the answers to the questions and helpful resources about the Web Connect, for example. We'll send you any tutorials we have, any videos that might help you. We will do our best to include all helpful materials we can gather as well in the email for you. Expected within a week, let's say.
Okay, then. I hope this whole webinar was helpful for you and it will help you boost your website's performance and conversion. Again, as Mariana mentioned, we'll answer all of your questions and, post them maybe beneath the webinar recording, send them via email, address them in upcoming webinars and our content for sure if they haven't been addressed already. Thank you, everybody, for joining and have a great day.
Thank you so much, everyone. You've been great.